Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Laura Riley with TallgrassAnimalAcupressureUSA. We also have with us Amy Snow and Nancy Zadonis, who are our founders at Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Resources. I always want to say Institute, so I have to remember it changed. And then we also have Jessie McCowan with us. She is our owner of Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Canada. And then we have a couple other people, if everybody wants to go around and introduce themselves. And maybe, oh, I think Amalia's having a little problem, but hopefully she's in. So we will go ahead and get started. If everybody just wants to say hi and maybe, I don't know, like just we'll try to keep it short, maybe just one word about why you're here tonight or what you want to, you know.
That's a little dumb.
So we can start with, do we have Cindy? Who's
Cindy Costa?
Yeah.
That would be me.
Okay.
I'm here because I want to retire doing equine acupressure. I switched from human massage to horse.
Okay, well, that's maybe a good thing. We'll just say hello and what field do you want to be then?
Yes.
All right, who's next? How about Gretchen?
Hi, I'm Gretchen. I'm in Arizona, and I'm here to get more learning.
Oh, okay. Great. And are you small animal?
Small animal. Mm-hmm.
Small animal. Yeah. Okay. How about Carrie?
I am taking the 4-day class in June, and hopefully we'll be doing the board test sometime soon after that. So just any learning that I can do, I just want to learn everything that I can.
Okay, good. And okay, Carrie, you're a small animal, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Who else has Amalia made it?
Yep,
Oh,
I'm
back.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amalia. I'm in California. Like Cindy, I also want to retire doing this work. So right now, small animal, and then moving on to equine.
Yeah, and then she'll be one of our instructors.
We're excited.
All right. Who else do we have? How about Robin? Do you want to say real?
Sure. I've been doing equine and canine massage for about 12 years. And yeah, acupressure, and I'm in Colorado. And I just felt like I wanted to do some updating. I haven't taken any additional classes in a long time just to see what's happening, and thought it'd be a nice way to just kind of brush up.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea to just come in here and talk to people, and yeah, always keep refreshed. Okay, who else? Have we talked to Andy? Everyone's moving around. Has Andy said hello? Okay.
She's on mute.
Hey there.
Okay.
I'm good now. I'm Andy. I'm a massage therapist. I'm also a yoga teacher, and been doing a lot of training over this COVID year on meridians and acupressure points, etc. And I live in very rural West Virginia, and I'm in the middle of farm fields everywhere. And I just thought it would be a really good thing to be able to take some of this touch therapy and put it into animals. So when I saw this, I said, let me give it a try and see what's going on.
Oh, great, great. All right, Kate, have you said
Yes. Now, I am in California also, and I am retired, and I have a dog care and a cat care business, and I've been doing acupressure, starting with my own animal for about 2.5 years, and I've been studying with Tallgrass for 2 years.
Yay. Yay. Okay, so should we keep going introductions, or do you think we're kind of getting trying to go?
Let's move on.
Going, because there's some surprising people.
Yeah, we have a great turnout tonight. So we'd like everyone to introduce, but we don't want to we want to get to acupressure. So, so welcome everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about acupoint selection. And did everyone have the case studies and get a chance to hopefully do those? We'll see the guilty looks for those who didn't do their homework. So basically, we are going to talk about doing acupoint selection, and tonight on the case studies, based on the indicators that the animal gives you of some behavioral or psychological, behavioral or physical indicators. If you were going to do an actual acupressure session, you would go through the whole 4 exams, the opening, your association alarm points, but for this webinar, we're just going to base it on the information we have here. And the goal is basically to find the best points. I don't know who's, yeah. Is to find the best points to resolve the health or behavioral issue. There can be more than 1 point. So if we get one that you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. We can discuss different ones and why you chose that one and go from there. So how about any questions? Okay, well, you ready to start with the first one or anything else? Okay, you want to talk about Sammy, the quarter horse? So Sammy is an American quarter horse, 10 years old, dry, crumbly manure, and strains during defecating. So what would be a point, some points you might choose for Sammy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I wrote down, I just kind of went sporadic with these case points because I've never really done anything like this. So my first thought was look up sister meridian. So if with Sammy, I felt that he needed lung and liver, large intestine and lung and stomach, and some of the point and kidney 1. I pulled out a bunch of different points. I had stomach 25, large intestine 2, governor vessel 1, spleen 4 or 5, bladder 25, and I would look into doing maybe something with the sister meridians for some reason. That is what kind of hit me when I thought about this horse. That's what I chose.
All right. And what, yeah, anybody else have? Yeah, and you know, one good way to approach it too is to kind of look at which meridian, hi Chuck, would be the most likely that you see an imbalance. So
Okay.
in this case, you might look at and go the most, one that would come out to be the most obvious would be stomach, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Would be an imbalance in the stomach.
I had acupoint 25 and 36 written down.
25, 36.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Specific. Yeah.
What about an imbalance in the large intestine?
Yeah. It could be too. That's a good point.
Yeah. Large intestine 2.
That's I went large intestine. I didn't even think stomach. I was thinking more the intestine. I was thinking, metal and then lung, large intestine. That's sort of like my thinking that I went with. I mean, there's like not a lot of information to go by, but
yeah.
Right.
I ended up with a lot of questions about that I wanted to ask the owner. But I went with the 4 gates, bilateral, large intestine 4 and liver 3 to start with. And then I also did stomach 36 and large intestine 11 because this is a hot condition. So I wanted to take the heat away.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I went with stomach 36 because that's a master point for the GI tract. And that's always a good one to, like you said, clear some of that heat. And I'm looking at my points here. And also, that's one of our master points, and the master points deal with the anatomical regions. So that's kind of why I chose that. And anybody else? There's a cat here. Hi, Anne.
Yeah,
That's me.
yeah, talking about lung and large intestine. If you had 3 points instead of just one that we possibly, if you did the 3 points, lung, remember, descends, has to do with moisture. Lung chi descends and disperses, but it has to do with moisture. And large intestine obviously has to do with the large intestine. So if you had 3 points, you'd have a lung point, large intestine point, and stomach 36, because that will influence the actual flow. Does that make sense, Cindy?
Yes, yeah, it does. I wrote down, I need 3 points for the three meridians. So a point per meridian. Do I have that right? So
Yeah.
there's,
So looking at lung, large,
yeah,
and
it does make sense.
powerful points, along, if you look at large intestine, what one would you pick? I like the idea of 11 for cooling. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
What would be another large intestine?
I'd have to get to my book and look it up.
Really strong point.
Large intestine 4?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
one for that.
Okay.
And on the lung side, what were you thinking? And Jessie is being silly in there. Jess?
Yes, this is your favorite.
What was I looking at?
Okay, Jess, don't answer this one. So what would be a good lung point?
I chose lung 9
I did
for
too.
moistening dryness.
I like lung 9 personally. Hi. So, but it's not the absolute. We're just coming up with points that would work. And here's the deal. You can start with the first ones, because that's 6 points right there. And he's only 10 years old, so he's a middle-aged horse. So you could go a few more points if you wanted to. Oh, here's more people, wonderful people. Good to see people that we've seen before. And where did Chuck Betlock go?
Hi, Chuck.
Where is he? Is he on a different screen? Is that?
He needs to turn his video on.
Okay, he doesn't have a sound.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so it's not, they're all good, they're not all good, but you want to look at what's going to affect the bowel essentially the most. And in this case, lung large with the stomach point would help initially. Then move on to, if that doesn't work, what do? You go on to other points.
Right. And I think that's a good point about the moisture, because of the dryness of the crumbly manure. Yeah. All right.
Okay. We always like source points. We always like association points. And we like master points. And once people, rather than confuse new people here, these are things you learn very early on in your study process with us, because we do emphasize the point classifications because they're so handy. They're just handy. They're quick and you know them and you say, oh my goodness, a master point for the gastrointestinal tract. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
and like Jesse loves stomach 36, right? It's your favorite. All right, so do you want to go on to the next one, or are we good with Sammy? So how about Argo? He is a standard poodle, 7 years old, excess lacrimation or tearing, and rubs eyes. So first of all, what would you think here? Which meridian would you think that there's an imbalance, or which organ systems?
Liver.
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 Yeah.
Mhm.
So why liver?
Because it governs the eyes.
It's an eye issue.
With the eyes. Yeah, exactly. So what would be some points people came up with?
One would be liver 2.
Okay. And why did you choose liver 2?
Bright eyes.
Yeah, just because that's the point that I've always chosen if like conjunctivitis or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's a good point for the eyes.
And for liver wind, and if there's
Yeah.
wind, there's hearing.
Yeah. Good point. How about any others? Like my favorite is liver 3 because I have a dog with glaucoma in one eye and she's always sensitive there. So she always needs liver 3. And that's a source point for the liver. So that's one of my favorites. And that also drains some of the liver heat and it's a good distal eye point, tonifies the liver. How about any others? Like we said, there's can be a lot more than one, and it doesn't have to be just liver. You can think of
Is that bright eyes? Trying to remember whether the opinion name for liver 2 is bright eyes. We'll have to look. I'm not sure whether it is or not, but something like that. Something like that. You know, for new people who are on who've never heard this weird talk, that we're thing. For instance, each of basically the yin organs have a sensory organ related to them. And the liver, as everybody's saying, is eyes. So kidney, for instance, is hearing, is of here you can work with kidney energy. So each one has, if you look at the lung, what does everybody remember to be the sensory organ for lung?
Nose.
Nose. Very good.
Yeah.
There's also a fluid involved, which is why they brought up the fact that the tearing, liver relates to also the fluid of the eyes, not just crying, but the tearing that is part of the eye. So each one, once you frankly memorize, that's what we did, as quickly as you can, what the sensory organ is for each of the yin organs, you're in business. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Since there's only 6.
Yeah, and it's really good if you have this correspondence chart. I think it's on your AccuDog, AccuCat, AccuHorse book. It's really good to look over those. It makes it a lot easier, kind of organizes the information for you. All right, how about any others for Argo? Anybody have some other good points? We had liver 2, we have liver 3, a lot of other good ones out there. Anybody think of others? I had a bunch of different ones. How about Jesse, Amy, Nancy? Anybody else have good ones?
I included bladder 18, you know, the association point, because like Amy says, they're our toolbox, association and source.
It's always,
think
you can always fall back on your association points for the liver, bladder 18, for any eye condition. How about anybody else? That's a good.
I used large intestine 4 to help balance the metal, to help balance wood, because the tearing is in excess, could be in excess, right? So I used a point to help drain the excess.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I love that point. That's one of my favorites too. And that's a master point for the face and mouth. So always anything with face, mouth, that's always a good one too.
I included stomach 1. I wrote it down, but I have a reason, but I think it's because it's kind of local.
Yeah, Jesse has a.
Yeah, it's a local point, but boy, if you come off it, 2 would be better because 1 is very distracting.
Yeah.
I tell you. That's bladder 1. No, it was stomach one. Nan's had it needled by a student, and when we were in Chinese medicine school, right on one. Boy, was she trust.
Wow.
It's not
Yeah,
one.
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, but that's a good point. It clears eye discharge, but I think that's a good point. Amy and Nancy says a lot depends on the animal if they're going to let you that close to the eye. So, yeah. So how about any others or?
It's drainage. It's good for drainage.
Yeah.
Actually, stomach 3 is good for drainage as well. Just so you know, if you want to use, we've been talking about distal points away from the actual owie, the dragon, as it's often called. So local points around the eye, it's not a bad idea. It's good. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. I was trying to think if I had my good points here. Yeah, here's mine. I'll be like Jesse. I'll put my charts. I don't know if you can see. Okay. All right. How about Teddy? Are we ready to move on to Teddy, or do you have any others for Argo, you think? Okay. Okay. Well, we'll move on to Teddy. So Teddy is a British short hair cat. He's 12 years old. He's very active, limping. Vet says ligament inflammation. I think this one's kind of interesting because he's a little bit older, but yet he's active. And this seems to be a ligament inflammation. So what would you think, first of all, what do you think organ system that's going on here?
Wood.
Wood, yeah. Gallbladder, liver.
Gallbladder.
So how about points that come out? I think there's
Gallbladder
the obvious one there. What?
Gallbladder 30.
Gallbladder
30, Robin.
30. Gallbladder 34. Yeah, exactly. That would be the one I would go to right away. And why did you choose that, Robin?
Well, I think that really helps with like ligaments and tendons. And I think it's a pretty strong point. Seems to work pretty well, and I've used it a lot, and it's been really effective. I think for like tendons in general, and if he's limping, you're not totally sure what's causing the limping, but it's going to be definitely some kind of ligament tendon issue.
Yeah. And Jesse just put it up there if you saw that. Yeah, exactly. That's the influential point for tendons and ligaments. So it's always a good for any tendon ligament. And since Teddy's had a vet visit, you have a good idea that this is a tendon ligament issue. So, yeah. So how about any others that someone would think of?
I included bladder 60 for pain, and then bladder 40, thinking that it probably was back leg limping, but I guess that would be a question to ask the owner, where he was limping.
Yeah.
So back and hips.
Yeah, and that's always the hard one, because I was like you. I was like, is it the forelimb or is it the hind limb? Is it, yeah. So it'd be definitely where you would be nice to have your 4 exams on that, to have that additional information. But yeah, no, bladder 60 is always a good one for pain, stiffness. It helps blood flow. Anybody think of others?
I typically use a spleen point whenever I'm treating ligaments, just for muscle ligament together. It's the technical term, muscle ligament together. I usually use spleen 6 just to moisten, and balance when I use gallbladder 34. Sorry, gallbladder 34.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, Amalia is a human acupuncturist, so she a good background.
And spleen 6 is the highest yin point in the body. It is the 3 yin meeting on the hind leg is what it's called. And it is a very, very powerful point. Excellent point.
Yeah. That's a great point.
It's easy to find.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a nice tip.
That's a
It's easier
bonus.
on a human than it is on a dog, but it's not as bad on a horse.
Yeah, horses.
Horse is easy. Dogs are a little tougher
Yeah.
because you have to go back against the bone, which is a very interesting thing. 'Cause it's a different bone.
There's one more point that I, given the amount of information that was provided, people might want
For
to
lack
think
thereof.
about too, or lack thereof. Right.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a guess what that point would be? It's one of my favorites, and I find it works so well with equines in particular, but dogs also.
Anybody want to?
It's on the dorsal midline.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
You-
Okay. I think we're at a conception vessel.
those- yeah.
Mhm. The Bachway point.
The Bachway point, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you choose the Bachway? Just, I mean, it's a great point.
Point of 100 meetings. It's a great point for any hindquarter issue. So without knowing whether or not this is front or hind, you've got a 50-50.
Yeah.
And as I say, I've just had a lot of success with that point over the years, particularly with horses and lower back issues.
Which
Yeah.
point is that again?
Bachway. And Jesse's showing it right there. It's right there in the hips on the dorsal midline.
Sacrum.
Very
A
good.
lot of animals will ask you to.
Robin, did you ask where is it?
No, I know where it is.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
it was
Cindy
me,
did.
Cindy.
the green moved quickly from my eyes. So it's on the dorsal midline at the lumbosacral space. And it feels when you're going down the dorsal midline and you're in between you'll just go down and you start to feel where it gets sort of soft and like a trampoline and it indents a little bit.
Yep.
That's where that point is located.
Oh, I know
Yeah,
which one you're talking about.
And
Yeah, there's
Kate,
there's no spine processes sticking up there.
Right. The audio was cutting out, so I wasn't quite getting the name of it. So now I know which point you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
and
Thanks.
Kate might show us on her. Do you have your skeleton there?
Oh, yes.
The skeleton, we're all in one.
Right there?
Right there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Very good. Okay.
Dogs love it. Usually,
Yeah.
usually they kind of stretch out when you hit it just right. They love it.
They often tell you.
Yeah.
My Bachway point. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so great. All right. I guess we'll be moving on to Oakley, who's a golden retriever, 4 years old, so a young dog. Oakley has a drippy nose, congested breathing, low energy. So pretty obvious what organ system is going on here.
Lung.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious from the drippy nose, congested breathing, low energy. So what would be some good points for Oakley?
Well, I'll jump in.
Okay.
I have lung 7, lung 9, and one of my favorites is CB17.
Okay. Okay, those are good. Lung 7 is connecting points, so that's good. So you had what lungs? So why did you pick? What did you have? Lung 7, lung 9.
Lung 9 and CB17.
Okay. Okay. So
I wanted to know if the dog was coughing because I would have included a couple others if it was coughing, but I don't know if it was coughing or not.
yeah, and that's always the problem with these. Is that, like we said, we don't have as much information.
I picked lung 9 because it resolves mucus, and it sounds like that congestion was really a big point.
Yeah. And that's a connecting point. So remember with the connecting points that when you work with lung, then that's also going to connect to the sister organ, large intestine. So,
Lung 9 is a source point.
Yes.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Not
thinking 7.
Yeah. Oh, 7 is the connecting.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
I picked lung 7 also, and I thought about lung 9, but I typically use lung 9 if there's a deficiency, like if phlegm is not resolving from a deficiency. But this seemed like it might be, I don't know. I thought this might be an excess, like the congested breathing. I guess if it was an excess, would you still use lung 9, or would you stay away from a tonification point if you had an excess?
Amy, what do you think on that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or Nancy?
I'm picturing it as I see it as an excess because most of these are short term.
Mhm.
And I was picturing it as when I write these things, I just think of this. Sorry. I think of it as an excess. The lung 7 is a good way to go. But part of me went with an association point, which was bladder 13. So we had a direct relationship to it. That was my first personal choice. And then to go, and if you had lung 7, but lung 9 wouldn't be bad if it was going longer than you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
If it, if it's a short-term cold, it's just a wind issue and it just goes quickly, it is an excess. If you're looking at the fact that you've reached the 2-week point, which are getting too long for a regular short-term cold, then I would put lung 9 to start moving it along in a different way.
Okay. So longer, because I was looking at the low energy, and like you said, if it was you can have low energy right at the onset of not feeling good. But if you have it chronic low energy for a long time, then you're looking more at a deficiency. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this
Thank
is a strange language for some of the new people on, and I know that. So take it as it is, just sort of glide through this. It sounds weird talk, but believe it or not, once you take the intro course and the online overview of traditional Chinese medicine, it won't sound so weird, I promise. So who are the new, raise your hand, who are the new people who have not heard? Yeah, well, good. I'm just 1 or 2 of you, and that's great. Thank you very much for putting up with our strange language. And you will so appreciate it when you see that this system, this Chinese medicine, ancient as it is, it works. It wouldn't be here if it didn't, right? People tend not to do things over and over if they don't work. So it's been around for thousands of years. So my guess is it works.
It works.
Yeah, it does. So put up with us and just sort of glide through this weird talk, but you will get it once you start taking some classes, I promise.
Yeah, you will. And a good way to kind of think of it is like with an excess condition is kind of like an acute thing, like a young dog getting a cold, just a minor cold. It resolves. It doesn't really have any permanent effect on the lungs. But if it was something that got what Amalia was bringing up deeper into the organ system, like a pneumonia, then that could have a permanent effect on the lungs and it would be a chronic condition.
And you could always, I'm sorry. You could always check lung 1 to see if there was any sensitivity to see if it was affecting the internal organs.
Right. Yeah. So if we were going to be doing an actual session, we would do the association point, which is like on the top of the lung, and the lung 1, the alarm point.
Right in the
chest, deeper within the organ. So, but you will get into all that as you study it, and I think you'll love it. It's exciting to really kind of see these points and see how they work and how much you learn from the animal by examining the points. Okay, so anything else for Oakley that you can think of?
So I included large intestine 11 for just general immune system support.
Very good.
Yeah,
That's a really
That's a
good,
great point.
yeah,
yeah,
good point.
that's a good point. I think that's a good point too, because sometimes you could have something with a young dog like this, and it might be spring allergies, so it could be. You never know.
Kate's been making, I was just telling Nancy how Kate has been making charts and doing the actual going up the leg, schematics on the leg. Very interesting. Good for you, Kate.
Yeah, that is great.
Well, I do it because when I was first learning the meridians, you know, you have to kind of learn it broadly because there's 3 on the medial side, 3 on the lateral side. But in the front legs, they cross, like the heart crosses over the small intestine. So I made a schematic so I could keep track. The back ones, like this is my little model for my schematic for the back leg. They're pretty straight up and down.
Okay.
But the front legs, they start on the medial and they end up on the lateral and vice versa. So schematics really help. Amy's schematic for the whole system really helped me a lot. And I actually practice that. You know the one I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
I did it from memory.
Oh,
I taught
yes.
myself to do it from memory.
Okay, I remember.
Oh yeah, the chart.
This is my drawing, but it's I draw it so that I remember it. But that really helps. I like, and I'm an engineer, so I like schematics anyway.
Yeah, that's the Zhang Fu chart.
Yes, that's
a great way to see how everything kind of works
together.
Yeah.
And notice that the liver's all the way around because it's.
Yeah, liver controls everything, involved in everything.
Great. Helpful.
All right. Okay, so do you want to move on to Miguel, or we good with Oakley? Okay. So Miguel is a 15-year-old bay horse. He has dry, flaky skin.
Molly, be polite.
Okay, so Miguel has dry, flaky skin on his neck and his hindquarters. So interesting neck and hindquarters. So right here, what would be our organs that would be affected here? Organ system. Anybody?
Lung.
Yeah, because as you remember, the lung deals with
Skin.
It's manifested in the skin. Yeah. So the dry, flaky skin is a really good indicator that that would be lung. So what would be some points? Anybody?
I wrote down bladder 12 and 13. I think one's a association point and one's I don't think it's not a source point. It's
an influential point. Yeah.
Yes, an influential point.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the good ones. Like I always like the association points. You can't go wrong with those.
Right.
And that's to help tonify the lung, helps dry skin. All right. Why did you choose? And then you choose bladder 12, you said?
Yeah, I did. I wrote that number down. I did this last night. I don't remember why, but I did.
All vegans are opinionated or arrogant and obnoxious.
What's that?
Oh,
And
okay.
if you really
Could someone mute? Does someone have something in the background? Okay. So how about other points that anybody chose?
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say I included lung 9, the source point for lung, and then spleen 6 for dry skin, moistening the dry skin.
Okay, those are always good ones. Yeah, source point and a master point with spleen 6. So how about
I also included triple heater. Whenever there's anything to do with moisture or lack of moisture, I like to use triple heater also, because it's kind of regulates the whole moisture distribution in a way. So I chose triple heater 4
okay.
to balance it.
Okay.
5 would work too.
Yeah. How about bladder 17? Anybody have that one? Yeah, I have that one.
I do,
influence
yeah.
point for blood. Yeah. And that also generates fluids. Like you said, that's a really good important thing, because you have a lot of heat here or lack of yin here. So you want to generate some fluids. Anybody think of any?
Part of bladder 17 is the influential point for blood. And when you look at skin dryness, the influential point for blood is very necessary to nourish and the actual moisture bringing out to the skin. So bladder 17, whenever I see any kind of dry, flaky skin, I make sure that we enhance and influence the blood.
And that's, yeah, that's a good point. Okay. How about any others for Miguel? How are we doing? Okay, well, I think we have one more, Jasper. He's our rescued alley cat. He's about 15 or 16. He's friendly, but he's lethargic. What are you thinking here for organs? Anything that what?
Maybe kidneys.
Yeah, I'm thinking kidney too. What is it about Jasper that
He's senior. He's 15, 16 years old, and the kidneys are the batteries of the body, and he's running down.
Right. Yeah, and and the lethargic kind of shows you he's an older cat. Like we said, our kidney chi, he's older, so he's probably doesn't have as much kidney chi. So yeah, that's what I would look at too. So any good points for Jasper? Like I think bladder 23 is always good. Your association point, that tonifies kidney. It's good for weakness. It doesn't really say, if he has any arthritis, but that's also could be going on with him.
Governing vessel 4 also tonifies liver. I really like that one too. It's easy to find, and it's related to the kidney, because if you go right up from the floating rib, you hit bladder 23, and then right between the second and the third is governing vessel 4. And I work a lot with older cats, and I like governing vessel 4.
Yeah.
But I don't use just that one. That one is just one of them.
Yeah.
What's nice about that one, it's also the Ming Men point, which is the gate of vitality point. And the Ming Men point actually is on the kidney belt, and it's a the kidney itself. So it's right along the kidney belt. If you go up from bladder 23, it's on the whole curve of the kidney belt. And
can you see it?
The Ming, yeah, it's considered the gate of vitality. And in acupressure, what's really nice is that you can, work with points such as that one that will not affect, you won't be going too deeply with having any kind of error dealing with the actual spine and the interstices that are along the spine. So that's a really cool point. I often just put my hand down oops, there it is, together on each side of the little spinous process that's sticking out.
Oh, and yeah.
Yeah, do both sides, because energetically it's right there.
I always use kidney 27 in older cats because
Good.
it's very easy to like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
to get to it, and it's just so nurturing. So that would be one that I would add in.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
like
the
it.
association point for all association points, which is a really good point, Gretchen. Thank you. And
I
the
got
other
the AP of all AP.
and the beauty of that one too is that the animal makes choices about how much energy they're going to put into it, which is really cool. In Jinshin Jitsu, another form of the Japanese form of acupressure, that specific point has a wonderful name in Jinshin, in the Japanese, and it's all that is, was, and will ever be. It is one of the most beautiful names of any point because it sums up all of your life right here. It's just amazing. And ours is just below right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's just below here.
Collarbone.
Yeah. And
So
it's
very
pretty easy to find. You find the sternum, and then it's between the sternum and the first rib. So,
cool point. Good, Gretchen.
yeah, I like that one. How about any others? How about you, Jesse? You're being quiet today.
Those are actually the three that I had. I had kidney 3 with a possible combo with bladder 60 because you can hold them together as a point combination, which would help with bones, joints, arthritis, and pain, which it doesn't say he's experiencing any of those, but because he's older, it's quite likely. And the association point and kidney 27 were my choices.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
I love kidney 3. That's a good point. Where am I trying to see my chart here? Yeah, so you can see it's right up here, right above the hock, right up here. Yeah.
I'm sorry, which point do you, oh,
Kidney 3.
bladder 6, that's bladder 60?
Oh, okay. I got the
Kidney 3 and
there.
bladder.
Kidney 3 is
There's
on
the
the
medial.
medial side.
There's bladder 60, and then
The
kidney.
medial and lateral on that chart are switched.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering that was weird. Okay, I want to use that chart. I should use the dog chart on that.
There you go.
Yeah. So, how about any others on there? Like you said, bladder 60, you can do them both at the same time. So that's great. And it's real easy to find because it's right there on the medial malleolus. How about any others?
I included bladder 17
Okay.
Okay,
in mine.
bladder 17. Okay.
I included
Just
stomach.
because of the age.
Yeah.
The age. And it's easy to get to.
Yeah.
They love being rubbed right along above the scapula.
Yeah.
And with cats, you have to be cats and dogs are so different when you give them a session. You have to get a level of cooperation that's sometimes hard to get with a cat. And I think it's easier with a dog.
Okay.
How about bladder? I'm trying to think. Bladder 11 for the bones. Would you think that would be? I always like that one with older animals. Is your influential point for the bones. How about any others?
Yeah, especially if the cat has any arthritis.
Yeah.
Some of the slow moving could be the fact that they're hurting. The arthritis is an issue. So bladder 11 would be good for any form of arthritis. Anything else? Does anybody else have any questions like about their animals that we have an extra 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So why don't we see what your animals do. Andy, do you have an animal you'd like to ask a question about, since we talked at you pretty much this whole time?
I hear a cat.
Okay. Yeah, Andy?
Is Andy here?
She's coming back on now.
Okay. I think Amalia, did you have one?
Hi
Someone
there.
else?
I'm really just listening to everything because this is all totally new to me. And it's good, but I don't really have any questions. I think I'm just overwhelmed at all the newness.
Yeah.
What kind of
That's
animals?
understandable.
Yeah, what kind of animals do you have?
I have a dog. I have 2 dogs. I've got one older mixed. She's a pit bull and retriever. And I have one older retriever who just had surgery on his meniscus, and I don't remember what the other one was. And then we have a feral cat that my son brought home, and I have 2 birds.
Whoa. Okay. So the meniscus, okay, that is, tendon, obviously, holding on a kneecap. So you tell me, is it inflamed? Is it sore? What's going on there?
I just noticed that he wasn't walking well. He wasn't walking, and I told my son, I said he needs to go to the doctor and get checked out. And they said it was, and I can ask what it was, but it was his meniscus, and I can't think of what the other one, something else torn. It was a major surgery for him.
ACL.
So we went to Charlottesville and to a teaching hospital there, and
Oh, wow.
surgery
Good
on
for you. That's a good thing to have done. So if you have AccuDog, look up, I think it's post-surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, there's in the back, in the last chapter, there's a post-surgery suggested points.
Beautiful.
So you take a look at that chart and see what you can do with that. If you have questions, please ask Laura, not us. No.
And you also have a lot of really good articles if you look under Amy and Nancy's site, which is animalacupressure.com. Look under their articles and blogs. A lot of
I
good
have
articles.
my sons live with me, and it was beautiful because he really required 24/7 care when he came back, and I've done Reiki all their lives, and it was beautiful. They were doing Reiki on the dogs, so, and I loved
Aw.
that.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Okay, hope that helps.
One that I have a 12-year-old dog, a Swedish Valhund, who got pancreatitis really bad in September, and she pretty much has flare-ups about every 3 weeks where she'll stop eating for about a day. It's real hard to get her to eat. I don't know. Any recommendations on points for that?
I don't know if I have any recommendations, but I can tell you I have a younger dog that they suspect low-level pancreatitis, and we went to a nutritionist and got him on a diet.
Yes.
Yeah,
He went through the same thing. He'd stop eating. So I don't know if you've done that. I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got her on totally low fat, and she does have an enlarged kidney, or not kidney, a liver, large liver. She has chronic hepatitis, and probably has some gallbladder damage as well. But I mean, she's hanging in there. When between episodes, she's happy and goes for long hikes and everything, but just it's like kind of like clockwork. About every 3 weeks she'll get up, won't eat. You can tell she doesn't feel good, and then I kind of work through it, get her to start eating again, and she's okay again for a period of time. She's on some drugs and stuff, including pregnancy.
Is she on Denamarin?
No, she's on your Ursidol, and
Ursodiol's for the gallbladder.
yeah, because it's gallbladder and liver.
But
and
you can use, it's called Denamarin. Ask your vet. It's SAMe and Silymarin, which is SAMe and basically
Mhm.
milk the stool, and it
Oh,
will.
I give her milk.
That's-
I do give her.
Are the liver enzymes elevated?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm an animal nature. I deal with pancreatitis all the time. My clients, I change their diet. That's the
right.
key. That is the key, is the diet, because you have your dog on processed food.
No, I mean, at this point, I am totally cooking for her. I'm cooking.
You have to get the dog off processed food, because
Yeah,
it
cook
raises insulin resistance.
Mhm.
There's also Chinese herbs like Minor that you can give for chronic conditions, but you wouldn't give it if it's acute. If your dog is sick every 2 weeks or so and there's elevated enzymes, you might try Minor, and you have to change the diet. That is the secret, because
Yeah,
my cat almost died from pancreatitis, and it was from processed food. And when I put her on a raw diet, just raw meat,
yeah.
it cleared up, and she almost died from it, and cleared up, and she never had another attack from it.
Huh.
You know.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Amalia, if it were a human being, what would you do?
For pancreatitis, it's a tough one. We have a hard time treating that in Chinese medicine.
No, you could treat it Chinese herbs.
Definitely with herb.
Yeah.
But there's point selection. I would do the whole body point.
I don't want to cough into the speaker. I have to pick the poop still.
I think it's liver 13. Is that it?
Yeah.
You said from 4 to 5, so we could be wrapping up.
Sorry.
Liver, gallbladder, points to clear the excess.
Interesting.
Cindy, I'm going to mute you a minute so Amalia can talk. Okay, go ahead.
Liver gallbladder points to clear the excess, and then actually some kidney points to support the liver, like kidney 3 and kidney, I think we would use kidney 6, I believe.
Okay,
Very good.
that's
Thank
very good support. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that
Congratulations
sounds-
for your jumping in and knowing another opportunity. And
Any points for inflammation? Because it's damp heat. Pancreatitis is damp heat.
it is.
Right, so Li11 for damp heat. I
Thank
have a
you.
question for, I have a question. I've been trying to figure out how to treat, Shotzi has mast cell tumors. They're, one's on the gallbladder channel and then one's on the large intestine channel.
Okay, Anthea, that's your cue.
Someone's asking me. I don't know about the acupressure points. The dog has a tumor on the liver.
Yes.
You said
Gallbladder, yeah. Gallbladder channel.
I would the lower stasis blood mention and the lower status. I would change the diet. Get the dog off processed food. If she's on processed food, get her off kibbles, definitely. You don't have her on kibbles, do you?
No.
Okay, good.
Oh, look at how cute.
Yeah, because processed food raises insulin resistance. It causes inflammation throughout the body. Get her on high doses of vitamin A, but naturally from liver. And also I would have her vitamin D3 checked, because every sick animal I have worked with is very deficient in vitamin D3. And dogs and cats get their vitamin D3 from their food. They don't get it from the sun. So it would be like liver, raw liver with the blood. She should be eating that. And then I would like to see her lab reports and check on certain things, but I would start there.
Okay. Yeah, she's
Okay.
definitely, thank you very much.
Laura, it's time. The
All
time.
right. I'm just enjoying listening to everybody. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I'm glad we had such a good group and very great responses. And I will send recordings to everybody probably by Friday. And I'm trying to think, we probably won't have a webinar on April because we have a lot going on and I don't know. And then, but in May, we will have another webinar and I think have we already come up with the topic for that, Amy, Nancy? Are we gonna?
We had talked about looking at the correspondence charts for the five element theory and just thinking through how the year flows from an energetic point of view.
Yeah. So we're coming upon spring, liver, gallbladder, wood element. So always good to talk about that.
That would be really nice.
Pardon?
Oh, I just said that would be really nice. Spring is a challenging time to treat, right? With so much wind and
Yeah.
I'm doing a